Good afternoon. Please continue your lunch as we're going to start the program today, and I hope you've enjoyed the meal. Our sponsor today is MSC Cruises. So can we give Wayne Perot and his team a round of applause, please? Wayne's been with us for quite a few years with MSC Cruises. As you know, they're an up-and-coming cruise line in the United States for the group tour cruising industry. They're an Italian cruise line with a European flair. They're adding new ships and destinations as we speak. A couple reasons of why do you want to go with MSC Cruises. Number one, you know Wayne Perot. Wayne's been here for quite a few years with us. And once again, with him and MSC Cruises, it's a cruise line that you can trust. They will take care of you and your group for that unique cruising experience. So please help me welcome Wayne Perot, Regional Vice President, MSC Cruises.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for spending your lunch with me. It always gives me great pleasure to actually speak to all of you. And by the way, where I'm from, in case you're actually guessing, because it always comes up at some point during the presentation, originally from the island of Trinidad and Tobago, but I've lived in South Florida for the past 44 years, so South Florida is my home. I'm very happy to speak with you here this afternoon. I know the only thing that's between the tour and where you are right now is me. So I would try and keep this as brief as possible. But there is so much information that I need to share with you. And the more that we actually share with you, the better it is for MSC Cruises. So as far as MSC Cruises, what we will speak about is who we are. Because we're relatively new to the North America market, but we're certainly not new to the cruise industry. And one of the questions that I actually get is, where do you position yourself with the other contemporary brands here in North America? So we will speak about that. We will speak about who we actually see as the ideal target audience for our brand. And quite frankly, I'm seeing all of you right here. You are our audience. We will speak to you about the fastest growing cruise line, because we are the fastest growing cruise line in the world. And it's very exciting because we're still privately held, which is a beautiful thing, because the monies that we make, we actually reinvest in our brand, and we're not accountable to shareholders. We will speak to you about the ships that are coming online, and then I'll wrap it up with the Easy Group program and all that actually involves. So as far as positioning MSC Cruises, I could tell you that we are a contemporary cruise line. We have 300 years of seafaring experience behind our brand. And when I say 300 years, because we actually have two sides to our portfolio. Yes, privately owned, but we have the shipping side of the company, where we actually have 500 vessels actually doing container work. So regardless of where you come from, if you happen to see a 20 or 40-foot container actually traversing the highways that has the MSC logo on it, that is the parent side of the company. And we're the second largest container carrier in the world. Back in 2003, we actually launched the passenger side of the business. We actually acquired some existing vessels, and we have been building vessels ever since that time. If I was speaking to you a month and a half ago, I would have said to you that we currently sit with a fleet of 12 ships, with 11 more babies being delivered to us. Now I say to you that we're now actually consists of a fleet of 13 vessels, because we actually took delivery of one of those babies back in June, and extremely exciting for us here in the North America market is the next ship that is actually coming online is going to be delivered to us here in North America, is going to be christened here in North America, which is the first time that MSC Cruises is ever going to christen a ship here in North America. And hopefully the godmother of all of our ships, Sophia Loren, will be here to actually launch that vessel as well. You will see us on television now, where we never had an opportunity to actually showcase our brand. And our tagline is not just any cruise. And we're not going to shift away from our roots, which is our Mediterranean heritage. We make no apologies for that. But we do believe that there's an opportunity for another contemporary cruise line to come into North America, and even when sailing the waters in the Caribbean, to still offer that Caribbean experience, but with a Mediterranean style behind that. We do truly offer immersive cultural experiences. My brand is so very strong outside of North America, and that's why we have a lot of international guests aboard our ship. It's like when you go into Europe, shoreside, you're immersed in the culture of the particular destination that you happen to be in. And that is true of MSC Cruises. We're currently right now, the North American segment of the cruising population for us in Europe represents a small percentage of the overall passengers that may be traveling on our European vessels. And if I take that to North America, with the ships that we actually have sailing in North America, right now it's about 60% North Americans and 40% international. We're trying to get it to where it's going to be 80-20, but you know the brand is so very well established elsewhere, and we're only now trying to gain that traction to increase our footprint here in North America. We actually cover over 150 destinations. We're the largest, I should say that we're the market leader right now in South Africa, South America, in Europe. We have seasonal sailings out of Guadeloupe, doing the Southern Caribbean, seasonal sailings out of Dubai, doing the United Arab Emirates. We have a year-round presence in the Mediterranean, East and West, seasonally in Northern Europe, and we do have a destination that the other cruise lines have now been getting into, which is Cuba as a destination, but we do not sell it to the North American clientele other than that product being available through 2 wholesalers in the U.S. that we have actually designated to market and to sell that destination. And if you have someone that is interested in Cuba as a destination for your next group experience, please come by and I'll be more than happy to share who those companies are. And then finally, we have a vessel that is actually sailing year-round in the Caribbean, Msc Divina, soon to be joined by Msc Seaside. You know, when I first saw the back end of this vessel, and I did not see the promenade area, I just saw what looked to me like a South Beach condo. It really showcases what we are trying to do here in North America. This ship is going to knock the socks off of everyone, and I cannot wait until she actually pulls into Port Miami, because I don't know if you're familiar with Port Miami, but all of the other cruise lines, the majority of the cruise lines are actually based in the port, and I could see the other cruise line executives peering through their window to see what this ship is all about. And we're so very excited because this ship is definitely going to be cutting edge with the wide promenade area, because that's quite frankly what cruising is all about. And what you see on the aft, on those staterooms, those are the 14 suites that sit all the way towards the back. But it's going to be cutting edge. And one of the things that MSC has always done is to partner with already established brands here in North America. Well-known brands like Lego, because we do a lot of family travel. And with a Kids Sail Free program, you have to have activities on board the ship to actually keep the children as occupied as you could possibly keep them occupied. And Lego is a relationship that we have just formed, and where Lego is on board all of our ships. Kiko, for all of the baby products and services that that brand actually represents. We also have a brand new relationship with Cirque du Soleil, where Cirque du Soleil now was actually launched on the vessel that we actually introduced in June, and where Cirque du Soleil are creating shows. They actually created one of the entertainment venues aboard MSC Meraviglia, and where 2 Cirque shows are going to be performed at sea exclusively for MSC Cruises, and where those shows will never be seen shoreside, landside at any venue. It's being designed specifically for MSC Cruises on one class of vessel, MSC Meraviglia. And you know what? We do a lot of family travel on board our ship. With a Kids Sail Free program, you definitely have to have that. So who actually is a target audience for our brand? Quite frankly, all of you, everyone. Someone who is looking for value. You know what? My pricing is too low. It is way too low. And there's some travel partners in here that would totally agree with me. Right, Trish? Way too low. But sometimes what you have to do is to introduce a conversation. And sometimes the conversation starts around the price point. But my pricing is too low. I look at it as introductory pricing, and that pricing is only going to ratchet up as we gain more traction here in North America, as we gain our footprint here in North America. We also believe that everyone has a different pocketbook to actually work from, and we actually introduce experience pricing. Please contact a local travel professional to actually walk through what that actually means, and they will explain that to you, whether it be the allocation or the location of your staterooms, your dine-in, the inclusivity as far as drink packages, etc. Everyone is looking for something a little bit different with their cruise, but the one thing that they actually all share, whether you're spending $700 per person or you're spending $1,500 per person, you want to make sure that you're getting everything that you expect to get from that cruise, regardless of the amount of monies that you're actually spending. We do see a lot of retired couples, seasoned travelers aboard the ship, especially when traveling with the children and grandchildren. We also know, and I am guilty of this, I think one of the things that we all do in this room is that we tend to patronize those establishments where we have some type of loyalty program with that establishment. It may be the airline where we are always looking to get the points on the tier level that we want to. It may be the hotel that we want to get to that particular level because of all of the amenities. It may be the cruise line because you want to elevate your level, etc. So what we actually did is we actually came up with a program that says, come and take a cruise with me. I know that you may be at that upper level with Marriott, with Sheraton, whatever it may be as far as a landside hotel. It may be a cruise line. It may be an airline. Send me your highest level. We already know exactly how many points it actually takes to get to that particular level. We will equate it with our equivalent level, with our program, and we will give you all of the benefits actually associated with that from your very first cruise with us. So you're not losing anything by actually switching cruise lines. The amenities may be a little bit different, but overall you're being given the level and the amenities that you normally would not get if that was your first cruise with us. And that's what we call status match. And as I mentioned, we do a lot of family and multi-generational travel as well aboard our ship. We are the fastest growing cruise liner in the world, still privately held, currently carrying 1.7 million guests, and that 5 million guest mark is frightening to me because we are building them and you hope they're going to come. And they have to come. There's no choice about it. As far as the ships that we're actually building, what I have represented here is 3 different classes of vessels. Meraviglia Plus, where we actually have 4 different vessels under that class. Seaside, where we actually have 3. And if that wasn't enough, World Class, where we actually have 4. So a cruise line who has a very aggressive shipbuilding program, normally what they do is each ship is a copy of what was just delivered. With us, not so. We have 3 different classes of vessels, and the one thing that I could tell you is that we keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And not everyone likes a large ship experience, but please take a look at what we have to offer with an accommodation type called the Yacht Club, which is private key card access only with butler service, concierge service, complimentary spa treatments, and where you could retreat to the privacy of your area or go out into the masses as you so choose. So we do have that opportunity with that accommodation type that you could really have that small ship experience if you would like to. The middle one is what I'm very excited about, MSC Seaside in that class, because that is the vessel that is coming to our shores in December of this year, and where her maiden voyage is going to be December the 23rd, and where she's going to be doing alternating Caribbean cruises, east and west, 7 days from Port Miami. Mirabilia, we actually have 4 in that particular class. We actually took delivery of her back in June. Ships are definitely getting larger. This is the class of vessel that we have Cirque du Soleil on, exclusive to MSC Cruises and exclusive to that class of vessel. What's kind of interesting about what MSC Cruises actually does, and this is a very different from our competitive set, is what we actually do in Europe. We are the market leader in Europe, as I mentioned. MSC Cruises has 45 offices worldwide. And what we do in Europe, because of our market strength, we have the ability for guests to actually embark, not from a traditional embarkation point, which is what all cruise lines actually use. For example, in a 7-night cruise, you have to get to the ship on a given day to meet the ship to commence on your 7-day, 10-day, or 11-day cruise. You know what? With MSC Cruises, it's a little bit different. You have that ability to embark the ship from its primary port of call, but you also have the ability to actually embark the vessel from a secondary, a tertiary, or a 4th port of call. And wherever we embark you from, we debark you to 7, 10, or 11 days later. What you miss on the front end, you pick up on the back end. This ship is a perfect example where you have the ability to actually embark the vessel on a 7-night cruise from Barcelona, from Marseille, from Naples, or Genoa, and where you have the ability to actually do pre- and post cruises, pre- and post land, where you actually would like to do pre- and post land. The other cruise lines cannot do this, and you know why? Because their strength is here in North America. Their strength in sourcing of passengers is here from North America, and now they're trying to go into Europe and to gain strength, but they cannot do it successfully. We started off in Europe. We know exactly where our business is coming from, and the Spaniards are not going to leave Spain to go to Italy or France to actually embark the vessel when they actually have the opportunity to actually embark the vessel from their home port. Each country guarantees X amount of passengers to be on a particular sailing, and where we allocate X number of staterooms for them to actually come on board. The North American cruise lines cannot do it because they cannot manage their inventory appropriately because, again, they do not have the strength internationally. This comes in very handy for us because of air. Sometimes air into one place is less expensive than in another. Burning of airline miles, sometimes it's available in one versus another. Sometimes it's less in one versus another. And third, it gives you the ability to actually plan your pre- and post land around the cruise in the area where you definitely would like to spend pre and post. Cirque du Soleil, which we already mentioned. And MSC Seaside, again, it's coming to our shores in December of this year. And again, where everything is being built as far as the ship design to be close to the ocean, because that's what cruising is all about. You want to feel the exposure. You want to have the opportunities to actually have al fresco dining, etc. And that's what this ship is actually going to provide when she actually comes in. Another representation of the vessel, and just to let you know that our dining on board our ships is still traditional, first and second seating, but we're actually adding more alternative restaurants aboard the ship with signature chefs on board the ship, and you'll see some of that represented in some of the pictures that we have actually coming up as far as artist renditions. So again, it has this whole South Beach look, and this is going to be definitely a Miami vessel. Again, sailing from Port Miami, Saturdays, alternating between the East and West Caribbean. Artist rendition of what one of the dining rooms actually would look like, with floor-to-ceiling glass windows that you can actually see, and it's 2 stories that actually looks out to the ocean, and where there's a walkway that actually extends over the side of the vessel. And where glass, you could actually see the ocean right below you. So quite interesting as far as ship design. Promenade area, very, very wide promenade area. And yes, we actually took some liberties here because we put some bicycles in that artist rendition. This is not to say that we'll have bicycles aboard the ship to ride around the promenade. I think someone just took a little bit of a liberty there to actually showcase that. One of the things that we're actually introducing, because you know each cruise line with a new ship, they always try to outdo the next, and we actually have been doing that as well, where we actually have a certain accommodation type with the outdoor area as far as the balcony, where part of the balcony actually will be covered for those who do not like to have the sun, and then where the balcony also will have a full extension, what you see like the green grassy area there, which will not be grass, but it's just turf, and where there'll be a whole opportunity for the sun-in to be done there as well. So again, very, very revolutionary. Again, it all depends on what the customer is looking for, and quite frankly, if it's a cruiser and a well-seasoned traveler, the accommodation type is what they're looking for, and the accommodation types and the amenities in that particular accommodation seems to be more and more. We want bigger, we want larger, we want everything that we have at home. We just want it on board a cruise ship. Artist rendition of one of the suites aboard our vessel. One of the things that you'll find with our accommodations and throughout our entire ship, our ships tend to be very quietly elegant. The color scheme is very subtle, very rich, very clean lines as far as our accommodations as well as all of our venues. You're never going to be able to read this, but what this is simply saying is that we have an opportunity right now where we have alternative dining restaurants aboard our ship and still having the first and second traditional seating, but where we've actually introduced other opportunities for those special evenings aboard our vessel, including the Asian fusion restaurant, where we'll have a teppanyaki room. And this is all because we have Roy Yamaguchi, the chef, as far as an area aboard our ships. The Butcher's Cut is our steakhouse. The buffet area, which will be quite extensive, and also too with a pizzeria. And by the way, there's opportunity to have dine-in up for about 20 hours out of a 24-hour period. Lots of attention being paid to outdoor activities. There you see the slides actually extending over the vessel, and where there will be an opportunity for customers to actually compete against each other, because when you go down on these slides, you're actually going down on a mat with some controls on the right-hand side, and where based on the lights going on and off, you can actually time yourself. And Trisha here has already challenged me to going down, because Trisha actually wants to do one opposite side while I'm doing the other one, and I'm sure she's going to wipe me clean. That's for sure. As you see, a lot of the aqua adventure area. You know, one of the things that we actually did not have with our brand, MSC Cruises, was a private island, and where we were actually leasing private island space from another cruise line. And the private island experience is something that all cruise passengers like to have on a 7-day cruise. But we didn't have that. Now we finally will. It's under construction right now. It sits 20 miles south of Bimini, 60 miles east of Miami, and it will be the largest private island in the Caribbean once we actually get through with it. It's slated for opening towards the fall of 2018. 95 acres. There will be a lot of different beaches, some for families, some for children, some for our Yacht Club guests. There will be auditorium there as well that we're actually an amphitheater that we're actually building for performances at nighttime. And what's the really cool thing about this is that the vessel is going to be docked at the private island from 9 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock in the evening. So it's going to be a full day and night experience, and where the ship is going to remain open during the time that she's actually at the private island, the casino, the shopping, everything. So the ship is going to be live even while at the private island. Msc Divina currently sailing from Port Miami, 7 days East and West Caribbean, and she will transition to 10, 11-night cruises when Msc Seaside actually comes in December, and Msc Divina will do 10, 11-night cruises in the first quarter of 2018 up until the middle of March, and she will go as far south as Cartagena, Puerto Limon, so a deep Southern Caribbean experience for those who want to collect some ports in the Caribbean where they will be able to sail from Port Miami. Easy groups, very easy. All I can tell you is we guarantee our group rates down to the very first stateroom. We have a waive deposit where we give you the opportunity to actually take out promotional group space up to 16 staterooms, and where you don't have to send us any monies at all. We have collateral to help you merchandise the date that you actually have, and we are going to guarantee the group rates down to the very first stateroom. So you may start off with 16 staterooms, you end up with 1, you promoted it very heavily and eagerly, but whatever reason, it actually just materialized with 1 stateroom. We guarantee the rate down to the very first stateroom, and if there was a customer-facing amenity like an onboard credit, we guarantee it down to the very first stateroom. So you can actually do groups with us with confidence. So all I can say is thank you for spending your lunch with me. We look forward to welcoming you aboard our vessels. We are the new kids on the block. I am looking to increase my footprint here in North America. We have 1 ship here. We have another one coming. And we made the announcement that there's a 3rd one actually coming to our shores in the fall of 2019, which is MSC Meraviglia, which is the ship that we just took delivery of in June of this past year. Utilize the services of a seasoned travel professional. With our brand, you're definitely going to need to have it because of how we actually structure our pricing. But please, we want to see each of you and your groups aboard our vessel. Thank you so very much for your time. Have a good afternoon.
Wow, what value MSC Cruises has there for you and your group. This is the time, if you're thinking about taking that cruise, this is the time to act. As Wayne says, they're trying to establish their brand here in the U.S., and these prices won't last forever, so get this on your bucket list to talk to you and your group. So can we once again thank Wayne and the MSC Cruise Line for today's lunch. Just a few housekeeping announcements before we start off for the sightseeing tours this afternoon. Number 1, all the buyers, please leave all your conference materials at your booth. You do not have to take those with you on the sightseeing tours. They'll get misplaced, so it's in your best interest to put those back at your booth. They'll be secure. Anything with the conference, the brochures, the portfolios, please leave them there. Also, to your left, behind the curtain here, this is an additional exit door. Please know if something unforeseen happens that we can go right out here. Fire Marshal came in and just said we had to make that announcement, so please be aware of that. Also, note that all tours will end tonight at the Amish Country Theater. There will be no other additional transportation from the hotels. If you do not take the tour, you will not have transportation to dinner tonight. So just please be aware of that. And now we have Carol here, one of the volunteers, to go over the logistics for the sightseeing tours this afternoon. Carol?
I'm a little shorter. Is that good? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Are you enjoying your